This is Failford in Ayrshire. From here you can follow a path along the River Ayr that takes you through a jaw-dropping gorge and onto a set of steps carved into the side of a cliff.
This is Peden's Cove.
The cove was formed partly by the erosion of the distinct red sandstone by the river and partly by Covenanters looking for somewhere to meet in secret.
It gets its name from Alexander Peden,
a Church of Scotland minister and one of the leaders of the Covenanter movement, who, legend has it, preached here while on the run. Peden was born on Auchincloig Farm near the village of Sorn in Ayrshire around 1626. His family must have been reasonably well off and he was educated at Glasgow University. It's thought he started off as a teacher and eventually became the minister of New Luce in Wigtonshire. He was known as a fiery preacher, but was forced out for his beliefs in 1662 with Charles II's restoration to the throne.
The Covenanters were a group of Presbyterians who refused to acknowledge the king as head of the church. They signed their national covenant in 1638 in Greyfriars Kirk, pledging to resist changes imposed by Charles I, and they were persecuted for it. It's thought at least 18,000 people died during the killing times of the 1680s.
After being forcibly ejected from his parish, Peden took to the hills as a field preacher and became the celebrity minister of his day. People would come to see him for miles around, and sometimes from a distance. Legend has it that these steps were carved into the rock to allow Peden to climb to the top and preach to his followers on the other side of the river. Nowadays they're fenced off to stop people damaging the already eroded steps or damaging themselves. It's a bit of a drop into the river, especially when it's flowing like this.
Alexander Peden wandered Scotland and Ireland for 10 years, preaching as a wanted man. He even wore the creepiest disguise in the world.
His mask and wig were found in a cottage near Cumnock in Ayrshire in 1840. Nowadays they're on display in the National Museum of Scotland. The mask was made from a combination of leather and fabric and hair that's thought to be human. It even has wooden false teeth attached and looks like something from a Slipknot gig.
That would put the fear of God into anyone.
I'll leave a link to a video in the comments if you want a closer look and maybe some nightmares.
This is North Berwick, and out there behind me is the Bass Rock, a volcanic plug just off the East Lothian coast on the edge of the Firth of Forth. Nowadays it's mainly inhabited by gannets, around 150,000 of them, and a Stevenson designed lighthouse. In Alexander's day it was kind of a 17th century Alcatraz. It was fortified and over time home to at least 39 prisoners who were there for covenanting reasons and many more who weren't. Alexander Peden was eventually caught in 1673 and sentenced to 4 years and 3 months out there, which sounds pretty grim, but maybe not as grim as the Virginia plantation he was supposed to be transported to after that. When the captain of the ship he was due to sail on found out his prisoners were there for religious reasons though, he set them free, and Peden made his way back to Northern Ireland and eventually Scotland.
He carried on preaching on the run for a further 7 years. Stories of his near misses were legendary, like the time he was preaching and the dragoons turned up and a mist came down to protect him, all of which added to his allure. Towards the end of his life he hid out in this area, before eventually going to his brother's house. He died on the 28th of January 1686 and was buried in secret by friends in nearby Auchinleck.
40 days later, some dragoons turned up and dug him up. They brought him here to nearby Cumnock and the Gallows Hill, intending to hang his body in chains. But William Crichton, the Earl of Dumfries, stepped in and told them not to, so they buried him at the foot of the gallows, where he still lies today. He's buried over there just behind me. He actually has a gravestone and a monument. This is definitely one of the more abandoned graveyards I've been in the past few months. I've been in a few. After the Glorious Revolution of 1688, things looked better for the Covenanters, and local people, as a mark of respect for Alexander, moved their burials here to surround his grave.
If you want to know more about the Covenanters, check out the links in the description.
And I just got my feet soaked.
See you next time.